Hey, welcome to the best of everything. I am Ruben Paul, and across from me is my brother from another mother, my boy, the Tulare Tasmanian
wino.
You called yourself a wino, so I didn't even have to say it.
You know I like Tulare wino.
Yeah, my boy Johnny Sanchez. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
What's up, man?
We're doing a little different.
Yeah, we're doing a little different.
We got some different equipment.
Yeah, we're going. You know, we're a little bougie with the lavalier.
Oh, yes.
Yes, the lavalier,
man. Lavalier, for those of you who don't know, is French for shirt mic.
Yeah. Really? Is that?
Yeah, lavalier. It's French.
I know it's French. I'm Haitian, motherfucker.
Oh, here we go.
I know it's French, but it's not French for shirt mic.
Haitian is.
We speak Creole and
right,
French.
A little bit.
Creole is a French slang per se.
That's right.
Because you know, Haiti was
occupied.
Yes.
By the French.
And then we beat their ass and sent them packing.
And then the
first successful slave revolt was in Haiti. You know that?
That I did not know.
And that's kind of why I think because they were successful, Haiti's become a forgotten country. That's just my theory on it because we beat off white supremacy.
So you guys whooped the French like the Mexicans did for Cinco de Mayo.
Oh
shit! Oh, oui, bye.
Au revoir, motherfucker.
That's what it is. That's right. Au revoir. Wait, you say au revoir as a Haitian, and then I'll say au revoir as a Mexican. Okay.
What? I said it already.
But more of your like American Haitian. You're Ruben.
Au revoir, motherfucker.
Oh.
No, that wouldn't be.
Au revoir, pendejo. Au revoir, pendejo.
Why do you sound like Paul Rodriguez?
You know, let me tell you something else again, cabron. You guys need to have me on your podcast.
Au revoir, motherfucker.
There you go.
That's
okay.
How
All right. I didn't know that. Anyway, we got these lavaliers.
We got the mic, the lavalier mic.
Got a new.
We'll probably go back to the regular mics, I think.
Yeah. We'll see how this sounds.
Yeah.
But the new camera is the bomb because it's 4K.
Yeah.
So Ruben and I were talking. We might need some makeup, man.
And Johnny might slowly turn into a raccoon, so be prepared because this camera.
And you can tell
the camera is extra clear.
Woo!
And it's picking up everything.
These circles looking dark.
But how you been, man? You went to South Carolina. You spent some time there.
I was in Columbia, South Kakalaki.
Yeah. Yep. I know. Like, how do you like going there? I mean, how do you like Carolina?
Okay. No, let's start with.
Let's keep it 100, man.
Well, yeah, but let's start with how do I like going there? Let's get with that first.
Okay.
Absolutely hate it. It's one of the you can't just get into Columbia, South Carolina. Okay. There's no straight shots, man. So you know how
always a connection.
Always going to be a connection.
So no airlines fly directly from Los Angeles to Columbia.
No.
So that
you're not
drives you crazy.
So that drives me crazy because I can take a nonstop from LA.
And it's not easy to drive Johnny crazy, by the way.
I have a lot of patience.
Oh my God, you're the least patient guy, man.
So here's the problem: I can take a nonstop from. I can do one of two things. I can take a nonstop from LA to Charlotte. But now I got to get myself, which is 80, 90 miles away. Now I got to get on a shuttle from Charlotte into Columbia. It takes an hour and a half.
Okay.
Now the other option is flying in. I fly into Charlotte. Usually American Airlines is going to go to Charlotte. I go to Charlotte. Here's the thing that sucks. Then I have a layover in Charlotte. Well, I'm only 80 miles away from Columbia. I have to wait an hour, hour and a half, and then I fly over. The flight's like 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
When you could probably have drove.
It's the same. But what I also hate about that is I'm flying past Columbia because Charlotte is north of it. So I'm going up and coming back. Some of the other ones, like Delta, stops in Atlanta, which that's better because I'm.
Yeah.
And then my favorite is if I can
How long
find.
is the layover from Atlanta to Columbia?
Oh, the flight, you mean?
Well, how long would you have to stay
I mean, I can find some that are
Sure.
30 minutes, but you don't want to risk that in the Atlanta airport.
Yeah.
Because it's a big airport, and if you're a little delayed, then you're gonna miss it. So I always do an hour, and then I think the flight is maybe 45 minutes to an hour from Atlanta. My favorite is it sounds kind of weird, but my favorite route is Dallas, DFW, Fort Worth, and then into Columbia. Because I'm cutting across, and so it's a pain in the ass, dude.
Okay.
Just going there is a pain in the ass.
So once I get there, do you like the city?
No.
You don't?
No.
And let's be honest. What don't you like about the city?
Number one, I mean, there's absolutely nothing.
Shout out to our fans in South Carolina. Okay.
Whisper out to Columbia, South Kakalaki.
As you systematically shit on their town.
Because here's the thing. I lived there for a year, remember? I was there for a year. So it's more, see, Columbia's that one, I mean, they're getting a little more stuff there, and they're starting to get an artistic side of the arts are starting to come in more in their downtown area, which is really cool. It's changing as far as like a mix of people. There's a little more diversity now than when I first went there in 2000. When I can tell you right now, dude, in 2000, I didn't see any Latinos anywhere.
Wow, I didn't realize you'd been going back there that long, since 2000.
Since 2000, dude. 2000.
When did we meet?
A little before that.
Really?
I think we ran into each other at some club somewhere, man. We had to. Before 2000?
Yeah, now that you think about it. Wow, we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah, dude, because get this.
But when did we become friends? When we started talking on the phone?
Talking on the phone, I think that was, I want to say it might have been around 2002, because that's when I went from the comedy store to the Laugh Factory. And we were definitely running into each other a lot more
during that time.
Even though we did some of the Latino rooms and we did the Latino tours together.
Yeah.
I think it was 2002. 2002 is when I got picked up as a regular at the Laugh Factory. Okay. Because I had left the store, and I literally called Jamie myself and said, I want to come showcase for you. And I did one showcase, and he picked me up. So I think that's when we kept running into each other.
But you were doing spots like Latino nights and stuff like that?
I was only doing, no weekends or anything.
Okay, you were just doing
Just doing the Monday nights. So we would run into each other on the Monday nights.
I just don't, what's weird? I don't remember.
We can't pinpoint, dude.
Like when we became friends.
Okay, we can't pinpoint when we actually became friends.
But we can pinpoint when we had that connection when a comic was on stage. We talked about that.
Yeah, correct.
A specific comic that we know.
But we can't even we can't quite
super hacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we can't.
And we didn't even know each other, and you just looked, and we happened to make eye contact. It was like,
no, you didn't. Those comics that tell the stories, something in their life.
And they always tell you it's a true story, and you know 1,000%.
True story, man. This is what happened. And then and we just looked at it, Ruben and I looked at each other.
But it is a little hypocritical. But when I do say it's a true story, I really mean
me too.
It's
but
a true story.
Dom Herrera hates when we do that.
Yeah, but I try not to say it's a true story.
Yeah, Dom's
I try to eliminate
Dom's like, hey, all right, so it's a true story. How about be funny? How about be funnier with a fake story?
Yo,
anyway.
I hung out with Dom last night.
Whisper out to Dom, by the way.
Shout out. No, he deserves a shout out. Shout out to Dom Herrera, man.
Sign language to Dom Herrera.
I love Dom Herrera. And how they say give people their flowers when they're alive. Dom
I've never heard that, but I like that.
Dom is somebody who I've respected.
Oh man!
From day one in this business,
totally,
and has still stayed relevant. Usually, when comics get older,
they might stick to their stuff that they were doing for years.
He's always doing new stuff, and he's always creative, and just the stories that he has. We have to get him as a guest on the podcast. Definitely have to get Dom Herrera on the podcast. He's just great. He's been around for a long time, and damn, he makes me laugh.
Yeah,
you talking about busting balls, man.
Oh, he's total ball buster. And if we do it, I think I'm gonna actually have wine.
Oh my!
Because he loves busting my chops on me and my white wine. Yeah. Let me guess, Johnny, you're having white wine tonight? Anyway, so here's the thing. Yeah. So then, just I want to finish up.
Yeah.
So Columbia, there's not a lot to do. It's sort of like. Like, there's more to do in Visalia
Oh, wow.
than there is in Colombia. So Colombia is more, a little bit kind of like Tulare, but at least with Tulare, you can go to some bars, man, and they're open till late. They have some of that there, but there's all these weird restrictions. So you were in Charleston.
I was in Charleston,
which is great, by the way.
Yeah.
Now Charleston,
yeah, but
dude,
Charleston, I did feel a little out of place.
Yeah, I think I used to tell you, man, that the Latinos look at me.
When I say out of place, it felt a little racist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, my favorite word. It's pretty biggity. It gets biggity out there.
No biggity.
It gets yo biggity.
Yo biggity.
And when I was first going there were hardly any Latinos, man, at all. And then sometime around, I want to say around 2005. Now I told you, man, when after 9/11, and I went there to visit, literally would walk into stores, restaurants, and everybody would just stop and turn because they didn't know if I was Middle Eastern or not.
Oh, really?
Right after 9/11. I was there that Christmas. And I couldn't figure out why. We'd walk in and I told you, after I remember telling Jennifer, I go, oh shit, man. These people don't know they don't know what the fuck I am. I mean,
but it shouldn't even matter though.
But that's, you know how the country was right after, dude. And think about it. I'm walking into, you got to understand about Colombia. Here's the thing about, a lot of people may not know about Colombia. Those are families that have been there for 6, 7, 8 generations, man. You know what I mean? Like, they continue to stay there.
Yeah.
So it's almost like,
I remember seeing the plantations when I was driving around Colombia.
Plantations.
Yeah. And
it's just got that weird, real deep stuff. Because even whenever I would go do the shows in Charlotte or I was in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's a big melting pot now, man. Mm-hmm. But I've talked to people, and I've talked to people from North Carolina, and they'll be like, "Oh shit, Colombia, and you guys have inbreeding going on over there in Colombia." You know what I mean? Like even they say that, dude.
Really?
So I don't really have. But look, I'm seeing my daughter. That's great, but it's definitely. But I told you the one time. I don't mean to.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
But I was Jennifer's grandmother used to have a beach house a little ways away at a place called Debbie Doo. They called it Debbie Doo, but it's Debois Doo. And it's a private beach area, so you ride golf carts. And I remember I was riding, this was around like 03, 04, and her dad is driving me, her 2 brothers are in the back of the thing, and I have my shirt off and I got a beer in my hand. So the guys, the groundskeepers were Latino, and they saw me driving by. The older white gentleman is driving me with my shirt off. The 2 young white guys are behind me in the back seat of the golf cart, and they just stopped, dude. They stopped what they were doing.
Probably looked at you like, "Way to go,
dude!" I don't know if you ever saw me, but they stopped and just watched us go like this. And I remember I was thinking one of them was like, he made it.
Well,
anyway, we got off track.
Yeah, but let me be more specific when I said it felt a little biggity.
Oh, biggity, yeah.
And it's just little stuff like this that people might not ignore. Like when you're, like say you're at a restaurant and you're standing there and then somebody comes in after you and the hostess or whoever comes up and you're clearly in front of them and they ask the people behind you like, "Hey, have you guys been helped yet?" It's like, I haven't been helped yet,
Right. And there's a lot of that.
Yeah, and then you get seated at a table and then somebody comes in after you and they get their food and everything before you do and they get service before you do.
Correct.
Here's a side note. So I was having an interesting conversation in Minnesota with this cool dude, white guy, cool as hell. We're having a conversation. Somehow race comes up in the conversation and we're just talking about going to restaurants and the stigma that black people don't tip and all these things that have been perpetuated, which is not true. They've done surveys that say that black people overtip. Now there might be some servers out there that might have whatever feelings, but the thing that I found most interesting was I know a lot of people who work in the service industry, and the nicknames that they have for black customers, they call them Canadians instead of, which is their slur of, oh man, I don't want to serve that group of Canadians over there. You know, those Canadians don't.
Oh,
don't
so they don't have, so nobody hears them saying anything.
Yeah, so nobody hears the rest.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember who else was in the conversation. They're like, no way. And then this white guy goes, I've worked in the service industry and we've always called black people Canadians. And just the fact that he came out and said that, it didn't make it seem like I was paranoid or I had made this up, because my friends have told me the same thing.
Right.
So to try to deny it and for him to own it, he was like, oh yeah, every restaurant. And this is the thing, he goes, I've worked at a bunch of restaurants, and every restaurant that I've worked at, they've called black people that come in Canadians. Isn't that
So there's nothing negative.
And I'm not just saying like that, you know, and I've had debates with them like, man, black, you know, they ask you for everything, and this is like, they just are so demanding. Mm-hmm. But this whole thing is like, it's this stereotypical thing that they're making this whole blanket thing. I'm not saying that it isn't true. There isn't some truth to it. But you can't hold every black person that comes into a restaurant accountable for every black person that comes in,
and you know,
that does that.
That's one of our pet peeves with stand-ups.
Yes.
The stand-ups who just include everybody in that race.
Yeah.
Man, all you white people, or all you Mexicans do, all of you have, how come all of you have 8 kids? Mm-hmm. 8 kids? I have 1, bro. Like, so it's like,
that's true.
So the tipping, there's gonna be some. Hey man, I remember when I used to go to that one not nightclub, but the club that Jennifer used to work at years ago on the at University, and they had a Latino night. Yeah. And then listen, man, for the majority, the Latino guys were not tipping. And I remember I was sitting there at the bar. Yeah. The Mexican guy comes, because they had a you know, salsa night one night.
Is that how you dance salsa?
Yeah. Uh-huh. They had a salsa like that on a Monday night or something. And the guy comes up and he orders, I want to say 6 Coronas and 6 shots of tequila. Okay. Mm-hmm. The guy puts it on, and then he says something like, that's 78 something or whatever it was. And the Mexican, and then first of all, you know, some of these Mexican dudes, man, they keep their cash on them all the time. Yeah. Like they just cast their check the day before. He pulls out a wad of money. He's like that, pulling out like 420s, and then the guy gives him the change. Now he grabs it. It was like $2 back. Yeah. Is what he got, and instead of leaving the 2 and throwing it, he went and he just threw $1 for a $78 tab.
So
I ended up giving I knew the bartender. I go, here, man, and I gave him $10, dude, because of how embarrassed I was.
Now let me just say this, and I get why you're embarrassed. I've been embarrassed, but this is a point that I try to make. And it doesn't mean that it's right that people undertip or don't take care of people who serve you, but it comes a lot from how you were raised and what you know. I had to learn about tipping and why you tip, because I came from a family. We didn't go out and eat a lot,
right?
Because most people in the inner cities don't go out to eat. And I understand, you know, the flip side of it when you're actually doing the work and you're serving, like, well, people don't know that they need to tip, and the tip they shouldn't go out. They should stay their ass at home, and they shouldn't do this. And I do understand that. Yeah. But, you know, maybe there's something that can be done just to educate people more. It is embarrassing. Like, I remember one of the first times I ever went out to eat, because I'd never gone out to eat before. I didn't know what a Caesar salad was. So I remember looking at the menu and go, hey, can I have a Caesar salad with Thousand Island dressing? and the look on the server's face was, and then somebody across from me, I was humiliated. Somebody across from me like, dude, Caesar is the dressing. And I go, what do you mean? Like, no, that's the dressing. Yeah. You know, it's Caesar dressing. So it's a Caesar salad. It always already comes with a dressing. I'm like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah. You know, I just simply we didn't. You know, my parents didn't take us out to eat. We didn't go out to eat a lot.
Right.
So it wasn't until I started, like, we did fast food, man. McDonald's was where we went growing up, and we would go, my parents would take us to
I actually wouldn't mind trying Caesar.
With
like, don't put any of the dressing on. Let me try 1,000 on that.
But then that's just a regular salad with 1,000 dressing.
I know,
but my parents used to we used to go to McDonald's, and we used to go to this smorgasbord place, where a buffet, and it used to be called King's Table. It used to be called the King's Table.
Never heard of those.
At Del Amo Mall, and that was like our big thing to go to the King's Table. So, I have a bunch of other friends that, dude, they've been going to restaurants with their parents since they were 5 years old.
Yeah.
Dude. And there used to be another restaurant that my dad used to go to. It was called Spires. It was like a Denny's. And that was pretty much the extent, but we never went out to fancy dinners at restaurants and stuff like that. And a lot of people I grew up with never went out and ate as a family at restaurants and stuff. So if you didn't come from that environment, how are you going to learn about gratuity and tipping and why you tip? That's why a lot of people feel like tipping should be based on the performance of the server, because they don't know that they really rely on the tipping as part of their income, because they don't make a lot of money per hour. So people just don't know. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to say, to show compassion. Like, you learn these things as you get older, as you experience things, as you go out to eat. Now I know, once it was explained to me about tipping, because then I went from going to restaurants to like, man, that was shitty service, so I'm not going to leave them anything, to like, you know what? There's a different way to handle it.
Sure.
I did get shitty service. And then sometimes I feel like I get shitty service based on other black people or other minorities who didn't tip well.
Who didn't tip before.
So they're like, oh,
and
man,
that happens.
I'm going to half-ass this motherfucker because black people don't tip, so why am I going to bust my ass for this person?
But you know what's funny about that? I'm still, even like with my parents, they always just, they just do the double tax, which is 15%, I believe, all the time. It's all the time.
Oh, they double the tax. Okay.
And I always go, no, you know what? They were like, I find myself just going here, and I'll throw in another 5 because the person was that good, or there was 6 or 8 of us, and I kind of feel like they deserve. I think for my parents, it's just easier for them to do it math-wise. Yeah. They don't know how to do, I guess, the math of 20% or 25 or whatever. But I was just realizing it was kind of the same thing for us. You're from the inner city. I feel like I'm from the outer city. All of Tulare is the outer city. So we're
you country. You're from the country.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Outer city.
And stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like outer city. So you know what's funny? We either went to a pizza place, okay. And usually there was always one Mexican restaurant we would go to or something. But the other place that we went to a lot that I've been wanting us to go eat together, Sizzler. Wow. So you don't have to tip a Sizzler at those places. You go, you pay it up at the front, unless they've changed.
I haven't been to Sizzler in a long time.
Dude, there's one that I drive by when I go to Burbank, what's his name, James's place. And I've been lately, because you and I talked about how we both grew up going to Sizzler.
Yeah.
And
I started going to Sizzlers as a young adult, like college, like.
Oh, your family didn't go to Sizzler.
Oh no.
Because Sizzler was also a bargain. That's why a lot of families go there, dude. Because it's
ever going there. The places I remember going with my parents are the places like we'd go to Spires.
Yeah.
Shout out Spires. We would go to this place called the King's Table. And we would,
but that's buffet again.
It was a buffet.
Sizzler also has that all you can eat stuff.
Between buffet and smorgasbord? Remember that word? You don't hear the phrase smorgasbord anymore. I'm gonna go. Hey, Chris, can you Google the word smorgasbord? Chris, can you smell it? Can you smell it? Can you smell it?
Can you smell it?
Can you smell it?
Can you smell that smorgasbord?
Can you smell that smorgasbord, motherfucker?
Hey, let me ask you something. Was the place called Smorgasbord, or
no,
it was
called the King's. It was called the King's Table. But I always for some reason as a kid I always heard the phrase like, oh man, they have a great smorgasbord there.
Well, maybe people were just using that term.
Let's go, Chris.
Smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Yeah, smorgasbord.
So what's the definition of a smorgasbord?
A buffet offering a variety of hot and cold meats, salads, hors d'oeuvres, etc.
Yeah, it's another word for buffet.
If you looked
smorgasbord is another word for buffet.
But if you looked up buffet, it would say a smorgasbord of food offered for one price.
I know, huh? Probably, yeah.
But yeah.
So here's the point I wanted to make by the whole tipping thing about just people not knowing. Like, I'm not saying I know all the servers, like, hey, they should know better than this and that, but I did have to learn that. And hopefully, like, there should be a better way.
Now I'm a great tipper, man.
Yeah, there should be. But another thing I heard, like in Europe,
they don't.
When I remember going there and wanting to tip, they were like, no, don't.
And that's why the Americans hate when the Europeans come to visit, because they don't tip at all, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you were going to get to that.
Yeah, because that's not a part of the culture. But but the bigger point, it made me think of just like we have these stigmas, and it's because of just not knowing, ignorance. We haven't been taught that. I had to learn that.
I had to learn it too.
My parents never taught me about tipping and this and that. It's something that I learned when going out from people who went out all the time and kind of explain the whole thing to me. And it made me think about. I was thinking about something similar when I was watching the NFL draft, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah,
they had it in Nashville, which I thought was cool.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing! 300,000 people almost every day.
Yeah, it shows you how huge that is.
But I think we just changed over to a sports podcast, starting right now.
Oh jeez, can we just talk about it? We talk about everything on the best of everything. It's not the best of.
You don't want to call
shit every week. I mean,
you don't want to call it the best of sports thing.
No. We're talking. We're gonna
the best of sporting things.
Can I make my point?
Yeah. Please. Don't mind me, man. Don't mind me. I'm just here.
I'm watching this NFL draft, especially the first round, and you're seeing these people achieving these lifelong goals. At 21 years old, 19. At being so young, where they go literally from college student, broke. Well, we know some of them have been getting paid under the table for years, but for the most part.
I like how Ruben gives us a sly turn away to the camera.
So we know a lot of superstar players get paid by these colleges under the table, but to be in a position where their lives are changed, like they go literally from zero to a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
Like that, man. Dude. Your name is called. When your name is called, your life is changed forever.
Forever, regardless of how it turns out. But it's funny. That's why you see people, on social media like, "All right, man, what are you crying for? What's the big?" It's like, dude, these guys have been playing since they were 8, 7, 6 maybe.
Kids. Yeah.
And now at 22 years old, they're after 16 years of playing and perfecting.
Their life has changed.
It's like,
of course,
so it's not an overnight success.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They break down and cry, like you said, because it's like at that moment they feel like their hard work is paid off.
All just paid off. They know they help their parents or parent or whoever's been there. The grandparents. I mean, it's a huge deal, man.
It's a tough position to be put in for a lot of them when I think about it, because a lot of them come from poverty. Their families are broke. I saw one. The Raiders drafted Josh Jacobs from University of Alabama.
Correct.
I don't know if you saw the story on ESPN how he was living in a car with his father.
I read about it.
And I mean,
with his dad, right?
Yeah. And to have those type of memories and those trials and tribulations that you go through, and then your name is called, and in that moment, like, wow, I'm so far removed from that. I'm about to go from living in a car to living in the biggest house I could ever dream of.
It's always hard to tell. So what is, this a little bit more than I do. Ruben's a little more of a huge
sports fan.
I mean, I'm into sports too, but Ruben's, you're just better at remembering stats and numbers and things like that. I always
I
forget.
kind of trained myself that as a kid. When I used to watch the Lakers play on CBS.
Yeah.
And I used to do stats. I used to like lay in front of the TV.
Right.
And every time Magic would score a basket, I would write down 2, and then he'd score another basket. I'd erase the 2 and write down 4.
Yeah.
And my paper was all, in shambles by the end of it. But I used to write assists, rebounds, the whole thing.
So see, that's your side of you always make fun of me with my research.
Yeah.
On shit that doesn't. So that's your thing is with sports.
Yeah.
So when it's the first round,
it's the guaranteed money.
yeah, it's a guaranteed. So what? What is the difference in somebody like, for instance, since we're Raider fans, Cleveland Farrell getting pick number 4, and then Abram getting number 24?
You mean Jacobs?
Jacobs, I'm sorry. Abrams was
Abrams
down
in the second round.
Yeah, the second round,
which was a great pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just say, what was Jacobs?
He was the 24th pick.
That's right, 24th.
Yeah.
I had it right. Okay,
Yeah, so he was
4
20
from 24.
picks
What do
late.
you think the difference is
I think-
money wise for them? You see what I'm saying? Like, is Cleveland getting?
He's getting
like,
significantly
like
more.
10 million. What do you think he's getting for his deal, or is it all negotiated different? Don't they all do a 2-year or 3-year or something?
The length of the contracts are usually standard, but what happens is because of prior draft picks, it's kind of like in the entertainment business. Like when we book a show or you book a movie, you have your quote.
Yeah.
So because of the years of the draft, you kind of, when your agent sees like, oh, you're the 4th pick. So it's like, hey, what did the 4th pick get last year? What did they get? So it's kind of something that I'm not sure it's set in stone, like this is the amount that you have to get. I think it's still negotiated, but there's a major difference in money between the first 10 picks and
even the second 10.
and then the second 10. You're still first round. You're still going to get paid, and your money's still going to be guaranteed. But you're going to get paid a significant amount. Like I don't know if we could. Chris, you can Google it.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
That's
if you
something you
had to
can-
guess, what do you think? Or not so much Cleveland. Let's talk about Abrams because of everything that he went. Well, Cleveland went through it too. It wasn't like he had money growing up. But I mean, are we talking? They're gonna get something up front automatically, right?
Oh, they're going to get a signing bonus. They're going to get a signing bonus and guaranteed money.
Like 2 million, 3 million. Where do they go from?
More than that. They'll probably go from that to.
To what they are to maybe 5, 7.
I would say 10.
10?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It depends on what the contract. Let's just see.
But you're giving. I'm just getting it a ballpark here.
Yeah.
You know what I
let's
mean?
see. So the overall pick. Who's the overall number 1 pick last year? Was who was number 1 last year? It was a quarterback. Was taken number 1 last year. Who took? Let's see.
Went to the Cardinals.
Rosen was Rosen.
Rosen?
Was Rosen the number 1 pick?
Was he number 1?
NFL. Let's see. NFL.
I thought they got because they got
Draft.
2 back-to-back. Arizona.
2018.
Was it Mayfield?
Baker
Mayfield.
Oh, that's right.
took him.
To Cleveland.
So let's see. Baker contract.
Approximately $32,000 over his rookie contract with Cleveland Browns, including a $22,000 signing bonus.
Thousand.
I'm sorry.
32 million.
Sorry.
I'm like, dude, you. Yeah.
Sorry.
So what was this?
32 million with a 22 bonus.
Yeah.
So what would he get up front? Do you think? What do you think?
It depends on how they structured the contract.
Okay. But either way, we're talking about kids that are going from literally, like you said, nothing to 10 million. Just say they got guaranteed 10 million.
And here's the thing
pocket.
why that's so important in the NFL, because not like basketball, not like baseball, those contracts in baseball and basketball are fully guaranteed contracts. So if a team cuts you, you're leaving with that money.
Okay.
With the NFL, those contracts aren't fully guaranteed.
Right.
When you get up into the upper echelon of the Tom Brady and stuff like that, you still get your guaranteed money, but there's all these loopholes where teams can get rid of you and not have to pay you. You know what I mean? Except what you negotiated. In basketball, what you sign for is what you sign for. That's why a lot of the prices are inflated. When you watch ESPN, you go, man, that dude signed a crazy contract. It's like, well, when you pull back all the layers, this is what's really guaranteed. He's not even guaranteed to make it to the end of his contract. You know what I mean? Because the team could just be like, you know what? And then they're not responsible for that. It's like, if you make it to this point, then you will get this. But chances are, a lot of people don't. That's why they fight for the guaranteed money. So with these first round draft picks, to be able to get guaranteed money right out the gate, that's why a lot of veterans, it's like, yo, you ain't even done anything. You haven't even played one snap.
Right.
And your future is secure. And the flip side is like, well, it ain't my fault that you weren't good in college.
Yeah.
Or, highly touted coming out of college.
Right.
So you reap the reward of the benefits. So they're paying you based on how they think you're going to perform. Look at all these people who've stolen money, like, Bus. I saw a thing on Ryan Leaf. Ryan Leaf signed that. He was the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Number 1 or number 2 pick. And he got that huge signing bonus, whatever. Now he's out of the league, and he blew, I heard he blew a lot of his money because of addiction and stuff like that. But the sad part to me is some of these athletes making all this money and then they end up being broke at the end of their careers. And that gets back to the point, kind of connected to the tipping thing is, I just think unfortunately, a lot of black athletes, they come from inner city environments. Everybody around them was poor growing up. And then they're thrusted into this new lifestyle of all this money, and they don't know what to do with it. It's not like their parents were financial advisors or their neighbor,
they don't have anybody in those,
or was an accountant or whatever. It's like everybody in your environment worked hard, blue collar type jobs.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of white athletes. You don't hear a lot of stories. I'm sure there's white athletes who lose their money and stuff like that. But a lot of times you don't hear about tennis players going broke. I'm sure it does happen. I'm not saying this is an absolute for everybody.
It doesn't
encompass everybody. But my heart goes out to a lot of these athletes because they're not educated and there's no legacy in their family of money. So how can you imagine going from nothing and somebody goes, here's $30 million? And you don't understand taxes, you don't understand all these different things. And you're spending money,
we talked about trying to incorporate.
And then the need to feel like you have to take care of everybody around you. I got to buy my mom a house. I got to buy.
And not only that.
And if your parents ain't together, and what if your dad is? I got to buy my dad a house. My cousin needs a car.
And then that's only the ones that are thinking about their family members. How about the family members that suddenly start reaching out?
Oh.
Hey, man, I need a car, man. That's got to be crazy.
It's crazy, man. And you're coming, there's a thing that you kind of envy about people who grew up in affluent areas. Because once they acquire money, it's like, hey,
I know what to do.
Yeah, you need to talk to your cousin, blah blah blah. He's an accountant over at,
Saks and Saks.
Or whatever place, or there's people in your circle or in your sphere that can help you manage this. Now you got somebody from the inner city, he's giving all this money. Now you are forced to trust somebody that doesn't look like you most of the time, doesn't come from the same environment you come from, and probably has no respect for you, and probably looks as like,
he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's exactly. I can take this guy's money, he will never know.
Right.
And I think the NFL, what they're doing now, which I think is great, I think they're setting up programs in different scenarios where these athletes can talk to people and be educated on finance and money, which I think is fantastic. I just heard that they're doing that. I don't know if they do that in basketball, but if people have to be more responsible, especially if, I know business is business, et cetera, but if blacks are, minorities are your workforce, you should protect them a little bit. Put them in a position to give them tools. Like they do them symposiums about avoiding drugs and these things, and I'm glad they're doing all those things because it has to be a terrifying thing to go from not knowing when your next meal is going to be, or eating on campus to literally, man, I can fly to Italy and have my favorite pasta there if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I can charter a private plane. I can do all these things that you never had access to
go
before.
wherever they want, yeah.
And you probably, when you're broke, you look at $1 million as a lot of money, but as you get older, you realize $1 million isn't a lot of money. $1 million isn't even $1 million. Whatever amount is there, the government, brother.
Dude, what, 35? They'll take 40% right off the bat.
That's one of the, even being in this industry, me and you have talked about this, is like, I remember making money off of different tours and different things that I did, whether, booking movies or TV shows, whatever, and you start getting all this money, and then you get that IRS bill, you're like, wait, what?
Dude, not only that.
I'm a kid, you're 22 years old making
I was just going to bring this up. When I got that development deal.
Yeah.
From Warren Littlefield, I was check to check at that time, just doing comedy, man, doing gigs where I could, and I felt that same way too. I remember Louis Anderson was trying to turn me on to his financial guy, and I was just like, and I met him, and we used to hang every now and then, but dude, I was so apprehensive about that.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, no, and maybe looking back, I probably should have had him investment. But man, I was too paranoid about giving somebody my money who I didn't know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that people forget. Like, whenever they hear about people making money annually as a talk show host, or, TV, their series regular, they've got the taxes to pay, a bunch of taxes to pay.
Yeah.
Then 10% to the agent. 10% to the manager, for some 15%.
Yeah. Attorneys.
5% for the attorney, 5% for the publicist, and then whatever is after. Now, if you count all those percentages right there, that's about 80. The taxes are going to be 40.
Yeah.
35, 40 on the taxes. Now you got, add in all those other 5, the 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5. I mean, then people go, wow, man, he gets $6 million a movie. I go, he ain't making $6 million a movie.
When it's all said and done,
he's going to come home with $1 million or $2 million at the end, but he's not making $6 million, bro.
So my hope is, and I'm sure this is happening on a level that we probably don't know, my hope is, as a lot of people are making it out and acquiring, all this money, and hopefully they're setting themselves up where they can, have generational wealth for generations to come, that they do set up things for people in the community just to understand. Like, I think poverty, a lot of times, is a condition, but also it's a mindset. So if we can go into these inner cities and these places that don't have these resources and just even try to educate people on a small level. I know for me, I had to learn the hard way. When I started making a little bit of money, I'd spend the money that I made.
Right.
Especially
you used to tell me about you hanging out with your boys.
Yeah.
And then it's like having fun, ordering food, drinks, and then we're like, hey, Ruben got it, right?
Yeah, man.
And then you're stuck with these bills at the end, and I'm like, whoa,
and
dude.
It's especially in the entertainment business, especially as a stand-up, when especially when I was young in the game, man, it's like I would go on these runs where I was making more money than I'd ever made in a month. And you're like, oh man, this shit ain't never gonna stop. I'm making 10 grand a month. I'm, 23 years old or whatever. And then, but you don't realize is then it can dry up for 6 months. And you not work for 6 months. And then you're like,
just doing other little odd things.
Why did I buy that car?
Yeah.
Why did I buy that Lexus? Why did I buy that Cadillac?
You had that.
Man. And one of the best advices I got is just because you could afford something, just because you have the money doesn't mean you can afford it.
Yeah, right.
And that was hard for me to digest. I got the money, and it's but long term. So I changed my mentality, and I'm still like this to this day. Is on my worst month financially, because we're independent contractors as comedians. If I make the bare minimum this month, can I still afford everything that I have? Yeah. And that to me is worked. So I know even on my worst month, if I hustle hard and I only make this amount a month, can I still afford everything that I that I have? Can I still pay my rent?
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not going to go into an apartment or into a home or whatever knowing that on a bad month I can't afford to pay that.
Yeah, man.
But that's what you do when you're young.
Low overhead.
Yeah. You know, so people make this money, and if they don't invest it properly, they don't save properly, they don't do all these things, then you find yourself scrambling because you're living above your means. And I hope moving forward, because I'm not that familiar with it, I'm sure there are programs now, I just would love, you know, people to be more educated about finances, and that would help you get out of debt, and that would help you get out of the situation that you're in if you were able. But most people, I could think back to some times, and I used to hear my parents say this, is I don't know how we're getting by from month to month. Because our bills are more than what we make. You know?
Yeah.
That's a crazy way to live. And then I've lived month to month,
right,
check to check. You know, I've lived from gig to gig.
Gig to gig. Yeah.
You know?
Because there's those years they come and we're set ahead of time, and it's
and
like,
people love to shit on these athletes. Man, they stupid. They made all that money. They're stupid. It's like, no, it's not they're stupid, man. They just weren't educated. They didn't know. They just simply didn't know. I bet if somebody would have told them, or really the right person could have gotten through to them and go, look, man, X, Y, and Z. But there's a lot of ego. I'm sure there's a lot of ego involved in it too.
Yeah.
You know, I remember reading a story about Vince Young. You know, he was the quarterback of University of Texas and played for the Titans. That he was spending X amount of dollars at Cheesecake Factory on a weekly basis, like thousands. Chris, look that up. Vince Young, Cheesecake Factory. But, you know,
Vince Young Cheesecake.
That's what you Google, it'll come right up.
Wow.
But, I mean, like there's so many things to deal with. There's ego, there's...
5,000.
He was spending $5,000 what? A week?
A week.
He was spending $5,000 a week at the Cheesecake Factory.
That's $20 a month.
Yeah, so that, but Johnny, yeah, we can make fun of him and do all these things, but that just comes from, like, why do you think as black
that's
people...
That's $240,000 a year
Yeah.
at the Cheesecake Factory.
Like, think about that. Like, really think about that. Is that just somebody who's just plain dumb? People want to throw that word around, or just was, like, really ignorant to finances? And a lot of times in our community, money is connected to our self-esteem. And when money is connected to your self-esteem, man, that's a tough way to live.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, there's a lot of jokes, bits about how, you know, a white man can be worth $2 billion, but you'll never be able to look at his clothes and tell. He might be driving a Prius. You'll never know. Yeah. But a lot of times in our community, if we have money, you are going to know it immediately. You are going to know it.
Yeah.
You know, you know, with the chains and
the rims and the car is going to be the top of the line.
You know, buying things that depreciate, that don't hold value.
That's right.
And that's another thing that, you know, you don't realize, you're not taught. We don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so I would like to see, you know, that form of financial education being filtered into our communities. And it can be done on a small level. You know, I'm not a multimillionaire yet, but I do feel like I'm good with money now. But I went through, I went through not having any money. You know, being broke, and everything just stops and dries up, and you're like, damn, man, why the hell? You just sit and regret.
Yeah,
when the hell did I buy that? I don't even, you looking at this shit around, man, I don't need that shit. You broke as fuck, man, I don't need, sitting in the dark, your lights are cut off, man, I don't need that damn big screen.
I was just gonna say this.
Why the fuck did I buy that, man? I gotta put that away for that damn light bill. You know what I mean?
Funny.
You start feeling like all these things, and it's like, man, I wasted so much money, but we're not educated, man. There's nobody to tell us. We just kind of look and go, I have all this money, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this.
And don't forget too, in our business, we're watching other comedians that came before us.
Yeah.
And they're just continuing to work.
Yeah.
They're always working. They're always working. That's what we saw. We saw actors just going from one show to another, and then you're like, "Oh man, I've done this show. I've done this show. I've been on this tour. I've done that tour." So there is that mentality of like, "Man, I'm going to be just like so and so, man. I've been working all the time in a different show."
And you know what I started hearing like some of my white friends say, and this always stuck out to me, and I understand it now, but back then it used to blow my mind. I used to hear like my certain white friends go, "You know, man, I'm just gonna take a year off."
Right. Yeah.
A year? What do you mean take a year?
Yeah.
You know, I got money put away, man. I'm not gonna rush into another job. I just left this job. I'm just gonna take a year off. And I go in my mind like, wait a minute. You have enough money to live for a year and not work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that blew me away. But as you get older, you can see how you can do that.
Yeah, right.
If you put money away, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you can have those types of options.
Yeah.
That shit's just, it's crazy to me to even think about.
And isn't
that.
it crazy how someone like that makes me think of Samuel L. Jackson, who demands, 3 films a year? He wants a minimum. That guy never takes a break.
What do you mean when he demands? Like what?
Like I think his criteria is that he wants to be shooting 3 movies a year.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Or then if not, then I better be doing a commercial for somebody or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean he's one guy that we could all easily, if he announced, "Hey everybody, I'm taking a year to 2 years off."
Yeah.
I think everybody in America and all of them would go, "Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you deserve
have
it.
been
You've earned it.
300 films in the last 20 years. Yeah, man," or whatever his thing. Like, that's interesting to me that there are others who go, "I think I'm going to take a year off."
Yeah.
Where there's these other guys that just work all the time. That dude is constantly working, man.
I remember my accountant said something to me. And when you look at things on paper, see, that's another thing. When you look at things on paper, that is what really fucks your head up. And I've gotten way better on this. But the amount of money she showed me that I spent out eating.
Oh, wow.
Dude, when she showed me that number, I was like, oh, hell no. Are you kidding me?
And you were not going to King's Table.
I wasn't going to King's Table.
You were not going to Sizzler.
But I wasn't doing Cheesecake Factory $5,000 a week. I'll tell you that right now.
And you were not going to Spires.
Yeah, but even when I made the decision, the life choices to lose weight and everything like that.
Yeah.
It kind of coincided
with the way you were eating.
Yeah, with the way I was eating.
Yeah.
So, man, I've saved so much money, dude. I've saved so much money not going out to eat. Because I cook at home. It's easier to cook at home. It's better for me to cook at home. Sure. And just the amount of money that I saved. I mean, I was embarrassed. And that's another thing that must be hilarious for accountants because they're basically looking at your whole life financially. And, my accountant is black. So when she tells me shit, it hurts my feelings. She's like, "Boy, you know how much money you spend on going out eating?" She's like, "Hey, are you crazy?" I'm like, I had no idea. She's like, "Well, I'm just telling you, we got to cut that out." But I was constantly trying to cut it out, and then finally when I, made the choice, then that's when I naturally just stopped eating out because it wasn't an option for me. Like I can't really eat out and maintain the type of lifestyle and weight that I want to maintain.
No, man, it's not. So, it's even. Restaurants are unhealthy as well, and not as bad as fast food, unless you're getting salad every single time.
Yeah, but you don't know what they're putting in the food.
That's the other thing. What are they using with it's extra? The sauces are real sugary. Mm-hmm. Then of course you don't want to be using salad dressing all the time. You know what I mean? So it's way better. You know how much I love to cook at home, man. I'd rather cook at home as well. But yeah, man, I think it's interesting to where there's the work, but then you gotta sock it away because you don't know if this next year is going to be as good as the year before, or it could be suddenly, and things could change in a heartbeat for people in the industry, and that's actors and stand-ups and all of us that are in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go from, going, hey, I got this, I got that, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, I'm a spokesperson for, in progressive now, and I'm making,
like Tiffany Haddish. I remember, she'll come out. She did that whole thing about taxes, and people go, I don't have as much money as you think I might have. You hear a lot of celebs and different people who say that. Even when Cardi B came out and said that thing about the government, about taxes and everything like that. And those are hard lessons to learn when you come from poverty, and those are things that you weren't really concerned about. And then now all of a sudden you're thrusted into all this money, and it's like, damn, man, I got to pay all this money out. So I think there's a book that was written a few years back about athletes who could you Google this, Chris? It was a book that was written about athletes who lost.
He's writing his set for
money.
Tonight.
And I think it was, I think they did something on it on ESPN. They did this whole
30 for 30.
It was a 30 for 30. What was it called? Google it. Google it about athletes who lost their money. But it was based on a book that was written by somebody. And they just went through and just showed that, like, literally went through all these athletes who had gone broke.
Fast broke?
Was it called Fast Broke? Was that the 30 for 30? 30 for 30?
The Going Broke or something was the 30 for 30, but Fast Broke was the Amazon. It's on Amazon.
Was the book?
Learn the real reason athletes go broke.
Yeah. What's it called?
Fast Broke.
It's called Fast Broke.
That's the book.
Yeah.
But on 30 for 30, it's Going Broke.
Going Broke, man.
Okay, I want to watch that.
Yeah, you should. Oh man,
but
it's
I
one
like
of the
Fast
best
Broke.
ones. It's one of. I think
it's a great play on words. Instead of Fast Break.
Yeah.
Right.
And
I think
it's. I think that was one like during like the first season of 30 for 30. It was like early on. That was like one of the first ones I remember seeing.
What?
It's actually just broke. My bad. For 30 for 30.
It's called Broke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just broke.
It's just broke. Yeah, you got to see that, Johnny. You have to see that.
Okay. Yeah, man. And same thing with a lot of those boxers. Same thing, dude.
Yes.
They come up and they're struggling. They get a championship and they got millions all of a sudden, and it's
and people still, So you can't. You just can't leave it up to everybody else. You need to be educated. And one thing that's great about my accountant, and I'm not dealing with that large amount of money. When she does things, she wants me to understand why she's doing these certain things.
Yeah.
So just, and there's part of me sometimes, because I do know her well and I do trust her, I'm like, just do it. She's like, no, you need to understand why and how I'm doing these things.
Sure.
Just so I can be educated for myself. So you need to be more hands-on with your finances. I think that's a big thing too, is just being more hands-on, trying to educate yourself, and being around, people that you can trust, that can give you, the right information you need to be able to secure your future. And I just think that's what's missing with a lot of these athletes coming out of these inner cities, is they don't have the support system around them. They didn't grow up around that.
Yeah.
So we can't fault them and just shit on them because they didn't grow up in this environment. They grew up in the fucking ghetto. He doesn't have a millionaire next door that lives.
Probably didn't even have a bank account.
I have friends right now to this day that don't have a bank account. I have a friend that I just made get a bank account. Because when you're broke, sometimes you don't fucking trust banks.
Yeah.
How do you think these check cashing places stay open?
That's right.
In the hood.
Yeah.
Because people
check cashing. Yeah.
And these places are, taking a percentage of your check when you take it there to get cash.
That's right.
But then we're paranoid because we don't want paper trails. It's just, how we're getting our, there's so many facets or so many different scenarios that we tend to just ignore or not aware of, but we just cast judgment and say people are stupid or dumb, X, Y, and Z, and it's just they haven't had the tools and the resources. They're just ignorant. We're ignorant. I was ignorant until I learned. I was ignorant going to restaurants. I was ignorant when I made a little bit of money. Just didn't know.
Yep.
My parents came from Haiti,
Yeah.
And they weren't rich in Haiti. They were dirt poor in Haiti. Then they came to America, so I'm sure they had to learn lessons when they came here, because they came from extreme poverty. Yeah. That's why my parents lived their lives thinking that they won the lottery.
They were happy.
They were happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't the nicest environment. Even when they left California and moved back to Miami and lived in Little Haiti. Little Haiti is the hood, especially the part they were living in.
But they were happy.
They were happy.
Yeah.
Because my mom, she was like, Ruben, we're like, where we lived in Carson was like a dream to them. But living in Little Haiti, from where they came from, was still a dream to them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it was a step down from how I grew up.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up rich, or we were lower middle class.
I think we were around that same thing. My parents, same thing, man. They grew up poor. I told you when my dad was a kid, it was one outfit for the year. That's he came from 13.
Yeah.
My mom came from 8.
Yeah.
So they didn't have any money growing up. So they appreciated everything later on. When my dad had was always he always had a steady job.
Yeah.
Somehow he always had work. Man, to him, everything was great.
Yeah.
We had a house in a nice little neighborhood area. It always had a car. Always, to my, and of course, I'd always be, myself and my sisters would be like, when are you guys gonna get a new car?
Yeah.
And my dad would be like, it's paid off. And to them it was like, you don't need all this extra stuff, man. And
No.
And now looking back, I'm going, shit, we were rich.
Yeah.
Because we had food on our table.
And not everybody has that.
Yeah. I know.
And with my family, thank God my parents were able to get that house, and stuff was, I guess, much cheaper back then because I was, like you guys know, I was actually born in in LA. But my parents gave away so much of their money, so it's almost like they were living to send money back to Haiti.
Right.
To their siblings and people who were living over there in poverty. So it's not like we were living this lavish lifestyle, because most of the money my parents made, they sent back to Haiti to take care of other people. My parents started a mission, my father built an orphanage in Haiti, and goes on and on and on. Yeah. So, I'm sure they could have used some financial advisors or people to give them advice and stuff like that. And I think that's a problem with a lot of immigrants and people who grow up in these inner cities or in these ghettos or whatever you want to call them, where we're not given the tools. So I think that's something that's important. I know.
You know what you should start?
What?
You start an organization.
I would love to.
And I got the name already.
What's the name?
Miami Advice.
You and your puns, man. Miami Advice.
Because your parents were in Miami, right?
Yeah, when they passed, yeah.
Miami Advice. Are you kidding me?
That's actually not a bad.
And it's capital A, lowercase d, and then a capital V.
What? Let me see what that looks like. Oh, okay. Did that come on the camera? Yeah. So Miami. That's not a bad idea, but I would love to do something. But I just can't think of.
It could be a non-profit organization, so it's not like you.
But I know there's this brother online. I can't remember his name, but I know he does these things on financial literacy for the inner city community. So I'm not saying that they don't exist. I just think we need more of them. But there are people going into these inner cities and trying to educate people. So there are resources out there to help people be educated financially.
Yeah.
So look for it. No matter what level you think you are, whether you're living from month to month, check to check, go out there and get this information. I wish all these athletes who are coming up.
Wishing the best, man. Wishing
the best, man. Because I've seen it firsthand. I've dealt with it on a lower level myself. So it's just, I think it's important that people learn about this shit, man.
Yeah. Absolutely. And on that note too, remember that the people that are serving you, unless you get super shitty service, tip them well.
Yeah. Tip them, because they're out there trying to make a living, and they're serving us. But I think there needs to be education on that side too. from both, man. I just think
I always felt like they should just do a percentage that's just included, dude.
included, yeah.
I mean, even if it's 12%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at least these people
At least
are
they would know what they're making too. It would help the servers.
Exactly. And then there's, because the worst thing is that, there are people who just walk out, man, and it's just not fair to these people. I think there should be there's got to be a half, even maybe 10. Maybe 10 is always included and you can throw something extra, but at least they know they got something, man.
I remember one of the first times I was going out to eat, you look at the menu and you see what you can afford. So it's like, if you got $50, it's like, oh man, this is gonna come out to $48, and I got 50. I'm good. You're not even thinking about tipping.
Yeah.
I'm a kid. I didn't know.
No,
you know what I mean?
You're that young, dude.
You don't know.
I mean, I don't even know. I can't even think about what I used to do when I was 18 or 19 and I went into a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even remember.
I didn't start going out to eat until, I think one of the first times I went out to eat like solo, I was probably like 18.
Because you know what?
I think I went out on, when did I start dating?
I had a steady girlfriend at that time, and I know
when we started dating, I think that's when I
know we used to go eat dinner, and I'm like, what did I tip back then? Because I didn't know the process.
I think when I started dating, when I started going out, I want to say it was her father that might have told me about tipping and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
To ensure prompt service. Tips. To ensure. That's for the people who are doing the work. Just
so yeah, I just didn't even, that didn't come from my parents. Because my parents, I don't think.
Damn, dude, what would I have been leaving back? I cannot picture myself leaving 15 to 20% back then.
But back then, you're probably just leaving 10%.
I was probably leaving a couple of bucks or something.
Or just throwing $2
$2 out. I felt like that's what it was back then. You just threw a couple dollars on the table, dude.
Yeah. So I just think for me, for you, it just came from people kind of like, hey guys, this is the deal.
Yeah.
And I think instead of, to the servers out there getting mad at people or judging people, taking consideration, like they don't come from where you come from, and then people are like, shit, I grew up and I know better. You do better when you know better.
Yeah,
hopefully.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time, especially from experience and people that I know who didn't tip, that are great human beings, they're great people, they just didn't know. They're like, oh, dude, I didn't know. It's like, yeah, man, you gotta do blah, 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 this, and that, and you kind of explain it to them. So, it's just about education a lot of times and just being able to have access to the knowledge.
Yeah.
So, if you've come out of these environments, people share this.
And look up Miami Advice.
Oh, please.
With Tubbs and Tubbs and Crockett. You're Crockett.
No, Tubbs was the black.
Oh, that's right. Tubbs was the black dude. I forget this one. Yeah.
Anyway, and if you have some of that knowledge, share
Tips and Crockett.
Share it with people. Like, I've always done that. I've always shared my knowledge with whoever I can share it with. So if you have this knowledge and you know people who don't tip or whatever, instead of laughing about it, explain it to them. And if you are good with money, try to help people who aren't good with money. Maybe say something.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would have said something to me back then. It's like, hey, dude, maybe you should put a little bit of money away, or maybe you should do this, or maybe you should do that. Yeah. I know better now, which is great. So I try to pass it down, like, especially when you get a little bit of money. The biggest lesson is, hey, man, you probably won't be making all this money every single month until you get to a certain level.
Yeah.
So now I'm at a certain level where I know what my worst month is going to be.
Yeah.
I'm not where I want to be financially, but I know I'm going to get there because there's some great things coming up in the future.
That's right, motherfucker.
Yeah.
That's right.
But anyway, thank you guys for listening.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, and we're also on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube. And we'll be slowly matriculating to all these different platforms.
Matriculate, man.
Yeah,
with our new mics and our new camera.
Yeah, but anyway, thank you guys for listening to the best of everything. I'm Ruben Paul.
Johnny Sanchez.
And we will see you next time. Ruby Tuesdays, every Tuesday,
That's right.
9:30 p.m., Hollywood Laugh Factory. Tell a friend, best show in town, most diverse show in town. There's something for everybody. At Ruby Tuesdays, Hollywood Laugh Factory, 9:30 p.m. Peace.
Ruby motherfucking Tuesdays.
This show is all about diversity and bringing everyone together. You never know who you're gonna see at Ruby Tuesdays.